Welcome to Synced On Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Brent Markus with us from Instant Hedge. Welcome, Brent.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Well, we're excited to, tell people more about your background and why you started Instant Hedge here in the US and just, what the
Yeah, I'd love to
benefits
tell you all
are.
about it.
Great, great. Well, let's, go ahead and kick us off. What is your background? Because this is
Yeah,
exciting
so
because I don't,
Instant Hedge started in 2013. And by
okay.
started, I mean we began the process to grow in-house all of our starter seedlings and rooted cuttings to develop a final finished hedge. Instant Hedge is unique in the United States in that we're using GPS and computer-controlled tractors to incredibly accurately plant, prune, root prune, and then harvest an entirely finished hedge so that you can literally install a finished hedge in a day. And so the way we do it is all of our hedges are grown 100% in-house. And so what that means is that we're propagating them from the start. So we're getting a tremendous root development on a seedling, which then goes into the field. And then really the secret to the whole production is all the root pruning that goes into harvesting a finished hedge. And so what we do is the year after we plant, we root prune down the row with about a 6-inch wide trench blade. And then the year after that, progressively wider, wider, and wider until we get to that harvest size. And what that allows us to do
Hmm.
is when a customer orders a hedge, we can entirely pull out a finished hedge out of the ground, place it in our biodegradable cardboard box, and ship
Yeah.
it to the end user to be planted.
And so, wow, I guess, I didn't know if you grew them in a pot, elongated
We
pot or
do have
what, but that,
container grown as well, but
okay.
the core of our product mix is field grown hedges.
Yeah.
And so those field grown hedges uh, have typically been range from 4 to 8 years old. And
Okay.
we sell the field grown hedges as low as 3 feet. Some customers have ordered, for example, like a 3 foot tall boxwood hedge. And those are actually, around 8 years old in the ground and 2 or 3 years before that. So about an 11-year-old hedge up to a 7 foot tall arborvitae, for example, 6 foot tall European beech. We've got hornbeam at sizes from 3 to 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet, and 5 to 6 feet as well. So that covers a lot of our popular hedge varieties in
Yeah.
ground.
That it's amazing because I mean, I see landscapes going in all the time and the boxwood, there's these big gaps and it takes forever and you see one
So
die
boxwoods
and
have
another.
really
Yeah.
been one of our absolute most popular products. We've had years where boxwood is our number one seller, but since we started offering boxwood, I believe it was 2021, it's never strayed more than the top number one or number two SKU for the year. We've had
Okay.
projects where we ship, you know, 4 semis just of boxwood to a single site. There was an amusement park on Long Island that just redid a ton of knot gardens and borders and walkways, and that's all they ordered was Green Mountain boxwood. So
Wow. And so
yeah,
are you growing them how many in a or is it just like one
so we
long
have
row?
boxwood in all different sizes. We're growing, let's focus on boxwood because hey,
If
everybody
it's the
loves it.
most
It is the
common. Yeah.
number one selling evergreen shrub in the United States. I've got so many boxwood stories. Let's talk about a few things, okay? Let's talk about
Okay.
boxwood blight. Let's talk about boxwood substitutes, and let's talk about sizes of boxwood that people are using.
Okay.
Okay, so if we look at the sizes that Instant Hedge offers, the smallest hedge unit is around 3 feet long. And so we're
Mm.
shipping a window box size hedge unit of boxwood. I'm gonna try and click I'm trying to click presentation so I can share, but it's maybe so I can pull it up on the website and show some examples.
Okay.
Share presentation.
Or share screen.
I can try share screen. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. And then you
Perfect.
should be able to pick which. Oh, yeah. Great.
Here we go.
Got it.
So our small size is this mini hedge. So it's 32
Okay.
inches long. This is, an average size of, 15 to 18 or 18 to 24 inches tall. Um, but we also have a number of field grown boxwood. And so we can, this is a Schmidt boxwood in a mini hedge size. And then we've got um, Green Mountain boxwood. So
Look at
this is what
that.
the nursery looks like. At Instant Hedge, we have more than 50 miles of hedges in production. And so that's an
My
example of the
goodness.
root system on that Boxwood mini hedge. This is our head grower Lalo, showing off a younger Green Mountain Boxwood mini hedge. Then we can see a
No gaps in
360
between
degree.
those boxwood.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we're looking at it from the most critical angle. But when that's planted and mulched over, it looks like it's been
Been there
there for
forever.
years.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get into some of the projects that we've used them in. I think if we go over to the common boxwood, we'll be able to see some field shots. So these are
Wow.
field grown boxwood. And so
Okay.
in total, we offer 3 different package sizes for our boxwood. So those mini hedges, the mini hedge extra larges, which go from 2 to 3 feet tall. And then these are our field grown boxwood hedges. And we'll be continuing to offer these in sizes as large as we can grow them, so long as they don't sell out. So the field grown, these are really beefy plants to just, go into an estate or a commercial install, and make it look as if they've literally been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
That's
that covers.
amazing. But boxwood grows pretty slowly too, doesn't it? I mean,
They
no?
do, and that's why it takes us so long to grow them. So we put the time in so that you don't have to. Um, so
Well, and the homeowners don't have to either. And I think that's important whenever you're, a design and build business or just a build business that you're installing these and, counting on the client to, help them along maybe for the next 5 to 8 years, I would think that this would also help them, they're already established and maybe even less transplant shock, would you think?
absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
of course, our container grown hedges, there's no transplant shock because they've been grown in a container. And so they're being delivered with exactly 100% of the root
As they've been
system that they
grown.
were
Yeah.
that they were grown in. With our field grown hedges, because we've been root pruning them along the way multiple times prior to harvest, we know exactly where those roots are. And because of that
Yeah.
root pruning around the entire root mass, when we go and harvest it, we just root prune one final time and essentially just lift it out. We've got this claw shaped blade and it just lifts the hedge out.
Okay.
And that goes for all of our in-ground sizes. So in terms of our offerings of boxwood, Green Mountain boxwood is our number one seller and the one that we produce the most of. For our larger hedges, we do offer Schmidt boxwood, which is a more columnar form, and then
Okay.
a common boxwood, which is a little bit faster growing than a Green Mountain boxwood. Green Mountain boxwood we've historically used because it is so boxwood blight resistant. If you look at
Okay.
a number of the studies, and there have been great studies out of Oregon State, and they look at the blight resistance of all the, let's say the new gen cultivars as well as Green Mountain. Green Mountain is really neck and neck with a lot of these new varieties as well.
Hmm.
And so with the, you know 60,000 boxwood we're producing a year, uh, we, we've chosen to stick with the tried and true industry standard, just because on paper it is so fantastic.
Yeah. But it's not just boxwood that you have. You have so many
We have
varieties.
so many other varieties. I
Yeah.
will say that I remember every year we exhibit it at the Man Show um, in Baltimore. It's a horticultural trade show that's been running
The
for
first one
um,
in the year, isn't it?
yeah, 52 years, I think. Since Instant Hedge was unveiled, we see a lot of the industry there. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we have so many industry practitioners that we visit with, design build, as well as re-wholesalers and retailers. And I remember unveiling our Boxwood mini hedge, and this was around 2021. And everybody was coming up to us and saying, "Oh, well, it's great that you're offering Boxwood, but what do you have for Boxwood alternatives?" And they wanted us to grow inkberry and wax leaf privet and uh, a whole slew of items. And so, as quickly as possible, we started growing every single one of these boxwood substitutes so that we could have a boxwood substitute for the South and a boxwood substitute for New England and a boxwood substitute for the Midwest. And so we covered the different hardiness gamuts and, you know, slightly different growth rates. But in the end, we were focusing on um, increasing our repertoire of um, low low hedges, like, boxwood substitutes.
Okay.
And
Yep.
so we had this big unveiling. Okay, we've got your boxwood substitutes. Here you go.
Yeah.
And do you know what happened?
What did everybody go, "But where's the boxwood?"
Yeah, everybody said. Everybody's like, okay, I'll
It's
order a
great.
truckload of boxwood. And so after around 3 years of having all these boxwood substitutes out there and getting
My
some orders
goodness.
for, like Greenspire euonymus
Yeah.
was and is popular, into California, and then they use it at on restaurant patios elsewhere throughout the US. But after a few years of being
Oh,
able to offer them, I'm just choking on this inventory that's not boxwood. And what are we sold out of every year? Boxwood.
boxwood. Okay. Okay, I get you.
So we do our best and we try and listen.
But
We try and
you
listen to
do
the
have lots of
practitioners.
other varieties. I mean, I guess I'm thinking like, for high hedges and
Yes, we've
beech
got a
and
tremendous selection. So, you know, it, they're geographical favorites. And so New England right now, our number one hedge has been hornbeam. And we've
okay.
just been trying to ramp up as much production, especially in the last 3 years, of hornbeam as possible. And so
Okay.
we were sold out of it last year, and then this year we're finally able to re-release it, and we're flush with it. Uh, Hornbeam European beech has always been popular, a little bit less so because some areas are dealing with the beech leaf nematode, uh, so a pest that 5 years ago was isolated to the state of Ohio, and now has spread to a lot of New England. So
Gosh,
that's
okay.
pivoted some of our production. For the Mid Atlantic, we sell a tremendous number of yews. So we
Okay.
grow yew, great evergreen, uh, you know, tolerant to very low light conditions, and that's been immensely popular, especially in like Virginia, Maryland. But we've had massive projects on the suburbs of Chicago that we've sent
Okay.
truckloads of Hicks yew to as well. And then we've got all of our laurels. So we've got skip laurel, English laurel, and Portuguese laurel. My favorite out of those would definitely be Portuguese laurel. It has a smaller leaf, grows
Mhm.
tighter, and it has the petioles um, are almost cherry color. They're got like a reddish tinge, and so you've got this kind of bicolor aspect to it. It's like a hardiness. I think you could probably
Okay.
get with it in a 6B hardiness zone, but it's definitely worth checking out for especially the Mid Atlantic, Pacific Northwest, state of California, and further south.
And your nursery, that's growing all this is in Oregon, is that right? And you
It
mentioned
is.
Oregon
So
studies and yeah, but it
yes,
obviously, I mean, you're talking about the Northeast, so you're shipping everywhere
we
in
ship
the
all
US.
over,
Okay.
and trucking is expensive, but it's a premium product and it's worthy of the trucking costs. There's nowhere else where you can get a finished hedge literally in a day. So if we look at um our sales distribution, more
Mhm.
than half of our plant material actually ships to Chicago and east of Chicago,
Wow.
even though we are
Okay.
based in Oregon. So
Okay.
New England dominates our market. And if we look at our biggest projects over the years, so many of them have been in New England.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, good to know that you ship everywhere, and I it the, on the website, it says just to plant the box as you're planting it, so you're
Yes. So
yeah,
this is
okay.
the large hedges are grown in the field,
Yeah.
but then when they're harvested, they're placed in these cardboard boxes. Our cardboard boxes are custom manufactured to our specs. There's no additional chemicals used.
Chemicals.
There's no glues or other residues that's going to stay in the soil. And so the
Mhm.
box literally will biodegrade within 45 days. And we've got
Okay.
photos of that in our catalog and etc. So
Yeah.
this was a project in New England that just literally in a day, dig a trench,
Wow.
place the boxes, and end of the day you've got finished hedge.
An instant hedge, I was hence the name. The yeah, the nursery looks fantastic with the lines so tidy.
So Aaron at Flore has been an amazing fan and customer and collaborator with Instant Hedge. She's got a video on our website which shows how she's utilized Instant Hedge to create gardens for all the flower production that she's done for her display gardens, for use as windbreaks. She's
Mhm.
got over 1 million followers on Instagram for all of her unbelievable flower flower and seed
Well,
production.
and like you said, I mean, it's a great windbreak and backdrop for, you know, the other plants, like to give you that clean backdrop, 6-foot hedges, and formal gardens. Look at that.
Yeah, so you
And
can
it
see
shows your
just a hedge
tractor.
literally being harvested out of the ground. So that happens to be a Hicks U hedge, and the root
Okay.
mass is so it has been so finely cultivated, um, that we can, just go through with that U-shaped root pruning blade
Yeah.
and then pick it out of the ground, almost like you'd be picking a bite of food off your plate.
Yeah. That's
So
fantastic. Yeah, no, that
zooming in and out here. So got a lot of before and after photos. This was a project where they utilized emerald green arborvitae.
Okay.
And so these are the various units as they ship. Um, and then this is the smallest size, that mini hedge. The nice thing with the mini hedges is that because it's in this window box style planter,
Mhm.
and what you can actually do with them, one person can pretty easily lift it out by themselves, is you can actually score the root ball on one of the sides and bend them to a radius. So you dig your trench exactly how you you envisioned it, and so you can create
Yeah.
a large circle around a tree. You can create knot gardens. There's a beautiful knot garden we feature a little bit later in the catalog. Oh,
Okay.
let me zoom to it, um, and then we can go back to some of this other stuff. But yeah, right here.
Oh,
So this
wow.
was a knot garden that was done in Long Island, but you can see with those mini hedges, it's so easy to, it's like a Lego for the landscape.
I was like, it's like edging, like a
Yeah, it's like
living
edging. It's
edging
like you can literally bend it, you can slice them to any distance. In one of those units, there's 5 plants, and so you can slice it at almost any interval, so long as you're not bisecting a plant directly in half,
Mhm.
and create dimensions for your knot garden or to surround your vegetable garden or hug your walkway or surround your tree,
Curves
it's
and yeah, right
everything.
angles and everything. Yeah, I guess I hadn't even thought of that. I was thinking just linearly, but yeah, the fact that you can just score it and it would probably make a nicer curve than you could with individuals because
Exactly, and
of the
so
root
you can
system.
score it, get that curve in place, and then once that curve's in place, you can finally prune it on site, and then, obviously, with the next flush of growth, you've got a perfectly manicured, finished hedge.
And have you found that I mean, I know you've only been in business for a short time, but the demand has been growing each year in the
Absolutely,
marketplace
yeah,
for
so
professionals.
once a landscaper utilizes Instant Hedge, they're just repeat ordering just because it's his you know, we've made their job so much easier.
Mm,
If we look at the difficulties of Instant Hedge, sorry, hold on once.
it's okay.
I'm gonna open a door remotely. This
I can don't worry, I can edit this out.
sorry. Let me just go open it. So
Okay, no worries.
20 seconds.
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. Okay, let's see. We were talking about you had started talking about landscapers that once
Yeah.
they go ahead.
So once a landscaper utilizes Instant Hedge, it's not for every project, but for a discerning client that wants a finished hedge in a day, it is the best solution. Our hedges are going in commercial projects, industrial projects, residential landscapes, you know, everything from soup to nuts, and we've got every single size of hedge to tackle all of those projects.
And do you find that you did say, when you're at Mance that you sell to resellers, but you also sell direct. What's the most common way that you sell or you
Yeah, so
prefer to sell?
by far our largest customer base is direct to landscapers. We also have distributors. We work with Pearson in Maine, Cavicchios in Massachusetts, and I'm just drawing a blank, but I'll think of it in a minute,
That's okay.
in Maryland. And so
But I
some of our
imagine that
hedges are
most
sold through
jobs,
distributors, but
okay.
sorry?
I was just going to say, most jobs require so much. If you are
Exactly.
installing hedges, it could
So
easily be
so
a
even on a
truckload.
small residence, you know, small residence still could need 150 linear feet of hedges,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden 150 linear feet, that's half of a semi. And
Hmm.
so as much as we love our distributors, they can't stock enough or predict, what the quantities that they're going to need with these massive jobs, medium and to large jobs coming in. And so we predominantly drop ship from the nursery. And the way that works is because we've done all that root pruning in previous years, we can ship our hedges year round without issue.
Wow.
So we
That's
can
great to
harvest
know
in the
too.
middle of summer. Yes, we
Yeah.
can get an order, you know, July 1st and have it show up at the job site, July 10th or July 15th. Because we've done all that root pruning, our plants can be dug out of the ground with ease.
Well, and I think, yeah, just by the nature of the types of jobs that you do get, it's probably best that it is done straight from the field.
Absolutely. It just happens, it's less handling. This is how our hedges ship. I've got it up on the screen.
Yeah,
And so the large field grown hedges will ship 3 or 4 units to a pallet.
okay.
Then our mini hedge XLs, that's the large window box style planter, which are entirely container grown. We'll get 7 to 11 of those per pallet. And then our mini hedges, we can really efficiently stack those.
Stack
And if
'em.
we look at the total linear feet that we can get on a truck of those mini hedges, we can get around 1,600 linear feet. And of the XLs, we can get around 800 linear feet. And then the largest size, the Instant Hedge, around 300 linear feet on a truck.
Yeah. Oh, that's great that you have that on the website. You can be efficient with your designs that way.
Yeah. The,
Okay, I need to
the
fill a
size,
truck. Should I order more or order it for another job?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a game of Tetris building these trucks. And, we'll have half of the semi going to Pittsburgh and the other half continuing on um, to the Berkshires um,
Yeah.
or wherever. But we
What
can
would
look at,
you what advice do you have for, landscape companies that are considering doing this, ordering these for
yeah,
the first time?
great question. We love working with people for the first time, and we have a lot of discounts in place just to encourage that first time order.
Okay.
So inquire with us, give us your project details. What we really need to start out, you know, with formulating a quote is the linear footage. So whether you're using one or multiple varieties of hedges, and we can price it out in all different ways for you. But just to start, we need to know the quantity of hedges that you're going to be using, and then we'll make your first order especially easy and discounted.
Hmm, that's great. And then, I guess it's, the results speak for themselves. So you're making it easy for them to try you for the first time so that then they come back and get these instant hedges for their projects for the future.
Exactly. This
That's
was a
amazing. That
roof
is that
deck
New
in
York?
yeah, it's in Brooklyn. You
Okay.
can see they use 2 different varieties. So this
Yeah.
was the Boxwood mini hedge, and then
Okay.
these were Hicks U that were field grown. They wanted a larger size. And then it looks like they've got some Hacknalocoa Oriola to the yellow
One of my
Hakone
favorite
grass.
grasses. Yeah.
Yes.
I know I can't grow those down here in Louisiana. I'm very gutted, but, yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, my background is actually in landscape architecture. So, um, I was at Cornell for an undergrad in landscape architecture, and then, continued on for a master's in horticulture. I was My master's in horticulture was largely looking at plant survival, in extreme environments, rooftops being one of them.
Okay.
And it was finished the master's and kind of looked toward a PhD and began a lot of that research. And then that was the point at which I started my first nursery in Oregon while I was still in school. So just started very small scale nursery with 2 employees in 2007, and that still exists today. That's called Rare Tree Nursery. And Rare Tree Nursery offers Japanese maples and dwarf conifers, and then a lot of companion plants like Hakone grass and
Yeah.
some of our other favorites. And
We'll have to put the link to that nursery as well in the show notes.
well, so Instant Hedge has been a progression off of Rare Tree Nursery.
Okay.
In the housing crisis that then, you know, perpetuated from, around 2007 through 2000. It was a difficult time to be launching a nursery and one selling Japanese maples and dwarf conifers. And so what I kept seeing was that I'd have a truckload full of emerald green arborvitae or green giant arborvitae from one of my customers, and they would pick up at one of the one of the large nurseries that was just growing those. And then they'd say, "Oh, hey Brent, we've got 5 feet at the end of the truck. Can you put on some of your cool maples and cool conifers?" And so we were just kind of like the anecdotal cherry on top of whatever else they were shipping out of Oregon. And uh, and I ended up traveling a lot in 2010, 11, and 12 to check out nurseries in Poland, Germany, and the Netherlands. And while I was checking out those nurseries to see all the cool new varieties of conifers and maples that they were unveiling, one nursery which I ended up touring was called Quick Hedge, and it was like a light bulb just went off, and it was so different than anything that I had seen in the United States. And what Quick Hedge was doing, they pioneered using GPS controlled tractors to plant these finished hedges. So I ended up returning to the Netherlands a few more times and becoming good friends with Peter Bongers, from the founder of Quick Hedge. And about a year later, I put together a business plan to launch Instant Hedge. And here we are, um, around 12 years later, selling hedges throughout the US.
That's amazing. I guess like you said, the trick to it is the GPS controlled planting, pruning, and all that. So that's a lot of extra equipment that
A lot of
you
extra
need
equipment, a lot of extra expense. And,
from the
you
start.
know, the the minimum age of a hedge that we're sending out is 5 years. So we've got at least 5 years into cultivating that hedge so that your customer can have a finished hedge in a day. And so, you know, the, our other amazing customers are landscape architects who are just frankly specking our hedges on their projects. And so the landscape architect will spec it on in the design. Um, the contractor will price it out, and the homeowner will approve it. And so the landscape architect has essentially pulled our hedge through the
You
construction
just,
layers.
yeah, yeah. Well, and it's probably hard to compare, if you priced up individual box shrubs
Right.
that are, mature enough to give the same effect that your hedges give, it'll be a lot more expensive because they're grown in every direction, not just
Yeah. So if you put together the cost over, let's say also 3, 4, 5 years of ownership to get them as tight on your own property, think of how many years you're watering it, how many
yeah,
times you're pruning it, you know, in addition to, just the cost of the plants and individually planting. There's so much time and effort that would otherwise go into it. Whereas, with our product, you're trenching, you're placing the hedge in, and you're rolling out some drip irrigation, and you've got your finished hedge in a day.
yeah. And that instant gratification we don't always get, do we, when we plant up landscapes?
Yeah.
So,
So in our catalog, we've got the list of all the varieties, and then we've got this blurred out on our website, but just email us and we'll send you a copy with pricing and an up-to-date availability. We've got, hundreds of units, hundreds, thousands of units on hand, and, you know, prices, all different price points based on how quickly we've been able to grow them and their
Hmm.
popularity. But some of our hedges to practitioners are as low as $20 a linear foot
Wow.
for the
Yeah.
in-ground grown hedges.
Okay. Yeah. So very competitive still. Yeah. Even though it's a premium product. Well, I think it's a great addition to, have this completed hedge. Like I said at the beginning, I see so many boxwood hedges that don't make it to privacy, or it takes a really long time. So I think that, you know, what you're doing, thanks for doing all the legwork and research and traveling the world so that landscape architects and design and build companies can give clients more of a finished product than we've been able to give before.
Absolutely. This is that I just I had mentioned the Portuguese laurel earlier. I just wanted
Yeah.
you to be able to see it.
Wow.
This
Yeah,
this
nice
happens
and
to be
dense.
um in Chicago in front of the Ralph Lauren restaurant.
Okay. That's funny. I didn't realize you send more to, yeah, Chicago and East than anywhere else.
It's a
Um,
bit surprising.
well, hopefully it evens out around the country.
Absolutely.
Awesome. With so many choices. I mean, I saw you even do like a mix of green and purple beach, and I'm
Yeah, that's
I'm a
called
real
a
beach fan.
tapestry beach, and it's popular
Okay.
in Belgium, the Netherlands, and a little bit in the United Kingdom. And so the seed source has been, a mix of, seed from green and purple beech populations. And then even, the seedlings from purple beech are not entirely uniform in their
Okay.
color. So you're getting just subtle variances from green all the way to a deep purple. And so we've utilized that to create, this tapestry, which is just, especially in the spring, is just exploding with colors. And then by the time you get into the summer, most of it looks pretty uniform in color. And then for summer and fall, but they're really beautiful.
I love beech trees. I guess, yeah, we had a lot in Scotland, and yeah, they are magnificent. Just how they lose their leaves as well, you're pushing out the old ones with the new growth, and yeah,
Yeah, we've
it
got a cool
just
time lapse video on when you go to our website on the beach page, and it just
okay.
shows throughout the year what happens to the hedge.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Well, Brent, this has been great to have you on. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like to tell our audience while you're on?
I think we've covered most of it. I mean,
Okay.
from soup to nuts. I think at this point, we'd love to quote you on all your project needs,
Awesome.
and get you trying Instant Hedge.
And we'll put some links in the show notes so you can contact Brent that way, get some quotes going, look at his rare tree nursery as well, and see where it all started.
Exactly.
Well,
Love
thanks,
it.
Brent. Great to have you on, and
Thank
look
you,
forward to
Angeli.
chatting again. Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Bye.